Good morning, everybody. Nikki Burnett here, Taste Life Nutrition. This is Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live on KUHS Denver, playing my very favorite song in the world, Bob Marley, Three Little Birds, because it makes me happy. We have a really cool show for you today, but first a little bit about what we are here at Taste Life Nutrition Radio and what we want to bring to you, what we want to bring to the table. And what I think is really important to understand is we want to do our best to bring truth to everybody that we can. And so, you know, we want everyone to know that there's more than what we hear in the mainstream. And not that there's anything really wrong with some of the mainstream, but there's a lot more out there when it comes to health and to wellness and to, you know, what makes us happy and what keeps us motivated and what keeps us going. And what I think the biggest truth that I've learned in health and wellness is that we're all unique. We are different than everybody else. There's not one thing that works for every single person. And so we want to talk about that and we want to have some fun with it. Today I have Kelly Carter. And so Kelly Carter, this was a really fun conversation. I did a video before the show, you know, just kind of introducing, you know, the show and getting ready for Kelly. And it's one of those things where, you know, in the world that I'm in, I get to meet a lot of really amazing people. They're amazing at what they do. They're entrepreneurs and they do really cool things. And when Kelly and I met and started chatting, it was like two little chatterboxes that couldn't stop because we were really aligned in the way that we work, in the way that we see health and nutrition, in the way that we see our clients, in the way that we want them to not only feel good and lose weight if that's necessary, or, you know, eliminate whatever symptoms they're dealing with, but we're looking at the entire body, and it's very individualized. And so I want to welcome Kelly. Thank you, Kelly, so much for joining us. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Cool. So before we get too deep into it, of course, we always start the show with gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most important ways we can start our day because, you know, Kelly and I talking a little while ago, or just before the show, is we're in a world where seems that there's not as much maybe gratitude as there should be. There's a lot of anger. When you start your day with gratitude, it changes your mindset. And so, Kelly, what are you grateful for today?
I am so grateful to be a part of this show today. And the reason why that this is something that is just overwhelming in terms of gratitude is because I listen to podcasts, I listen to radio stations, and the reason I got into the wellness industry is because I heard someone through a podcast that had so much passion, something I just aligned with really well, and hopefully I can do that for some of the listeners today, because that's really how my journey started.
Awesome. Yeah, we all have this really, I think everybody in health and wellness has some kind of interesting story on how they got started on their journey in health and wellness. And so I'm super grateful that you're here with us. I'm grateful that you are just excited about what you do, why you do it. You know, that's what we want. And that's, you know, when we're excited about what we do and working with our clients, I think it helps our clients to be excited. And it helps them to understand when we tell them you are unique, you're beautiful. Just because, you know, this works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Let's find what works for you as the individual. I find that there's a little bit of relief. Yeah.
It's incredible. They don't feel like they're another member. They don't feel like they're on, you know, different path, like same outcome sort of thing. Yeah. That's what I really try to stay away from. Mm-hmm. The diet culture is huge, as you know, and after going through, you know, the last 10 years of my own journey, you really find out how toxic that is. And staying away from that, connecting with people one-on-one, it's just so much better. That's so much better.
It is, and now you see why when we connected and she's just so excited, it just makes you really happy. So this is going to be a really fun conversation. You know, the other things, just real quick, I want to make sure that I hit on what I'm grateful for, besides the fact that you're here. is just the ability to bring to the table people who are in love with what they do. And I just think it's an amazing thing. Everybody that who I've brought on to date has been an entrepreneur. That was not intentional. And I'm sure there will be a point where that's not the case, and that's okay too. But I love it because people are entrepreneurs because they love what they do, and there's a massive passion about it, and people are excited about working with people, with helping people, with all of the things, in all different capacities. We have mindset and mental and emotional and physical, and we've had musicians on, and it's been all over the place, but everybody is super excited about what they do, and that's why I love being an entrepreneur and talking with entrepreneurs, because there's such passion behind it and excitement. So thank you again for being here. So let's start this with about you. Let's talk about who you are, why you are, what brought you here, what excites you, what motivates you, and just kind of get a feel for who Kelly is.
So, Kelly Carter, I'm a certified nutritional practitioner, and I consistently want to continue learning. So I'm always taking different courses, just understanding the wellness industry more and more. And that's what I've been doing over the last 9-10 years. I went through my own health journey, realized what mainstream was bringing to the table and how much that didn't help myself. When I decided to become a certified nutritional practitioner, I did start out coaching and mentoring my clients in a very mainstream way. And again, realizing that it's not what I wanted for them. I don't want to be someone that you come to and you lose weight or you feel great for the 3, the 6, the 12 months that you work with me, and then 6 months later it's back to the old you. I needed to create a program that I wanted to see in the world, and that's when I decided, I can't keep working for certain companies or certain people, because I need to do what aligns best with me. So, and that passion really got driven because I started surrounding myself with podcasts and wellness centers and other people who were passionate about health and how they saw it. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what I want to do, or I want to do something like that. But I had to move off on my own. And I've been able to create something that I truly feel does help the individuals that I've worked with. And it is so incredible because, like I mentioned before, I've been on my own health journey, and it's not easy when you really want to change your lifestyle. Yeah. So when you get enough support and you have that accountability and you feel safe in the environment and the program that you're with, the chances of you being successful long term, for it to be sustainable, just skyrockets. And that's exactly why I do my programs the way I do them.
Awesome. So I do want to dig into your programs, but I think let's do that a little bit later. I want to first talk about mainstream. So when you say that you did things mainstream, because I think there are a lot of people who are like, I'd love to work with a nutritionist, but I don't even know what that looks like. I've had people come to me and say, you're a nutritionist. I'm sure there's food involved. I don't know what you do, and I don't know how you do it, and I don't know why you do it, and I don't know how it affects me. They know really nothing about it, right? And so when we talk about what's mainstream as far as mainstream nutrition, tell me what that looks like for you, what it looked like for you.
So initially, when I went through my first transition and program, it was very much like the big companies out there, so the Jenny Craig's and WW, and it's the cutting carbs, the massive amount of proteins, the certain supplements that will burn fat, that sort of thing is really what I started with. And yes, I lost weight, but I actually didn't get to the root of the problem.
Right.
So when I really looked into what's a nutritionist, because I didn't even know what a nutritionist was at the beginning, it was understanding that there are mainstream nutritionists and then there are other nutritionists as well. So the nutritionist that I was introduced with, or to, a lot of the time they just focused on the food, which is exactly what you think of when you're working with someone in this industry, dietitian, nutritionist. But again, like, I was a little bit more successful when I looked at, okay, how to fuel the body, what am I putting in? But at the end of the day, if I wasn't on a plan, then I would fall right back off.
Right.
So the third time that I attempted it, while I was actually going through my course, I realized that it was a whole body situation. So if you just focus on food choices, you will not be successful long term, because you're not getting to the root of the issue of, well, why are you eating the way you're eating right now? Why didn't you always fuel yourself with proper protein and veggies and fruits? Understanding sleep patterns, understanding stress, understanding how activity is so important. There's so much more. And it's hard for mainstream to really focus on that, because a lot of what we do, as in you and me, we have to look at the mental side of things. We have to look at, like, what's going on in the brain, what's the reason for our actions, and, you know, because at the end of the day, food choices, like educating people on food, is very surface level. You have to get to, like, underneath, so that at the end of the day, you're choosing to eat better because you're not as stressed, or you're getting good sleep, or you're feeling a lot more confident in yourself in your everyday life. And that is really when I saw my coaching change and my clients have this absolute incredible, you know, mindset shift, and then long-term results.
Right. I think the way that I talk to people too is it's an all-encompassing lifestyle, which is really important to understand. You know, I have a client, she's actually in my program, but she went through a situation where it was a similar situation where it was a very, you know, it was the bars, it was the shakes, you know, she had some weight to lose, and then a salad with chicken and a protein and a grain at night. And she ate the same thing every single day, including these proteins and these bars. And so I said, okay, well, let's take a look at the ingredients of these proteins and these bars first and foremost. And that's one of the most frustrating things, is there's a company like this who's talking about promoting health and wellness when all that they're doing is feeding you trash. You may lose weight. She was deficit in her caloric intake. Deficit? She was not getting that's not a good sentence at all.
Definitely in a caloric deficit.
Thank you. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Okay, so moving on. But it was just really frustrating, because you look at it, it was full of genetically modified ingredients. It was full of sugar. The calories were low, and that's what they focused on. Oh yeah, the bar or the shake was 100 calories. The bar was 160 calories. So that's what they're focusing on, is the calories. And I asked her, I said, were you hungry? She said, yeah. I was like, were you fulfilled? No. Did you like it? No. Were you bored? Yes. And, you know, she did this for almost a year. But the good thing, the good thing was she had weekly coaching calls, which kept her motivated. I'm like, that's great. And that's perfect. But as soon as she didn't have the coaching calls, and as soon as she felt, you know, left the program, you don't have the tools to take beyond that, because you no longer have the food, which is not feeding you anyway. It's actually more damaging and inflammatory. And then you don't have the tools. You don't know how to eat. And so you go back to your old habits. And it's the most frustrating thing. Poor thing, we were on a Zoom call, and I just kind of more than I'm doing now, you know, go off on my soapbox. I'm like, it makes me crazy, because really these companies are just big marketing companies. You know, they're big marketing companies that what they want is to keep you in their cycle, so you continue to pay them. You see some success, but you have to continue to pay them in order to continue your success. And I find that to be a huge, huge issue with our health and wellness world right now. And what I love, though, is more of the holistic or functional lifestyle approach to chronic disease to weight loss to mental and emotional issues that actually are sustainable, where people are learning their bodies, understanding what they need, trying, making their way and not getting stuck in this cycle of paying money in order to be successful. It just makes me crazy.
It's one of the reasons why I am so open with anyone who wants to work with me. I personally understand the frustration of getting into that cycle of, trusting a program, trusting a product, trusting a person, and then like finding out later that what you were eating was trash, or what you were eating wasn't enough to make you feel good. And that's why, like, with my programs, what I coach is that your body will lose weight when you are fueling it properly, when you're getting enough food, when your body feels safe. But apart from the weight loss, you're going to feel fantastic. You're going to have all of this energy. You're going to start fitting into clothes better. Your skin and hair and nails are going to get healthier and stronger. We focus so much on weight loss. And I'm like, no, that's a side effect. Like, if you really do this properly, you're going to wake up and feel so confident, so vibrant every day. Who's going to carry around a scale their entire life, step on it, and show their best friend, hey, look, I'm 160 pounds today. Like, look at me. No, you are going to go out in the world in clothes that you bought, and you're going to feel good walking down that street. Like, let's really think about that aspect, not just like the number on the scale. And that's really, really, really like the first and foremost thing that I want to tell anyone who's potentially going to work with me is that I do not focus on like specifically just like weight loss, because it's not going to be sustainable. You're going to gain a pack. You're going to get frustrated, and it's again, as you know, it weakens our metabolism, wrecks our digestive system when we start gaining weight. So it's something that's really important to me to get that message out there.
Yeah, totally agree. And that's when I have a client who comes to me who says, I just want to lose weight. I'm like, that's great, and I want that to be. I mean, if that's your goal, then that's your goal. But I'm going to tell you that my goal is to get you healthy. Because when you're healthy, you're going to feel good and you're going to lose weight. Even if it's not a number on the scale. Because oftentimes, your body composition changes. So your clothes fit better and things fit better. And we don't necessarily need to look at the number on the scale. Now, I get it. I've looked at the number on the scale. And it's, it's a thing. Don't do it every day. That is so damaging to look at a scale number every single day. And another thing that I'm kind of backing up just a little bit, but when we do, like you said, the yo-yo dieting, and when everything is food focused, or you do the program like my client did for a while, when you do a program like that, it is so focused on food and when you can eat and how much you can eat and how you eat and what you're allowed and what you're not allowed, that's all you focus on. You think about food all the time, and you're probably hungry, right? And so that's not a healthy, fun, thriving way of living. I mean, I love food and I think about food a lot. I talk about it all the time and I cook it all the time, but it's not an obsession, and it's a we want to create this healthy relationship, not when do I get to eat and I'm so hungry I can't eat right now, because what does that lead to? It leads to eating disorders and emotional eating and binging and purging and these things that aren't good, and at the very least, to be repetitive intentionally, it doesn't change the lifestyle, it doesn't change the habits, and you go back to that.
I think at the end of the day, it's just mentally exhausting.
Yeah. Oh, it totally is.
Yeah, when you are only focused or solely focused on specific foods, calories, numbers, crunching, oh my goodness. Like, and I think that's where I'm so much more into the understanding where a person's mindset is at versus anything else. Because then people get nervous if they go to a wedding and they want a little bit of cake. And when you put your body into this, like, okay, I want to, like, it's there, they gave it to me, like, should I eat it, should I not eat it? Like, you're stressing your body out.
Yeah.
You're stressing your mental energy out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, stress affects the way that we even use food. So
Yeah.
it's just, I really, again, my goal is to get people to understand more of like that sort of holistic, you know, losing weight isn't just about what foods you put into your body. It's just about so much more than just that.
Right. Agreed. Let me take just a really quick break so I can talk about my sponsor, who is, I am not doing good. So my printer wouldn't print, and I know I shouldn't print paper, but my iPad it doesn't stay up, so I'm constantly having to push the button so it stays up. Anyway, the problems with technology, I don't know. So Cellcore Biosciences, they're an amazing sponsor. Do you know Cellcore?
I don't, so I'm actually really interested to hear a little bit more.
Yeah, I will be going to one of their conferences here in October. I'm excited about them. They are unique in their approach. You know, I have companies who I love and I will continue to use, and they're amazing at what they do, and they only will distribute to the practitioner because it's important it's important to understand what it is, what supplements you're putting in your body, when and why, and which ones you need, and not to just go say, I need this. Besides the fact that it's wasting money, is it good? Is it you know, helpful, or is it not helpful? Because supplements can be unhelpful without a doubt, and they can be full of all kinds of stuff. So real quick, I have to say, never buy your supplements off Amazon, never buy them off eBay. Be very, very careful about how and where you get your supplements. Data shows that what it says on the bottle is not necessarily what's in the bottle, because unfortunately people aren't always on the up and up. So we'll just keep it at that. Cellcore is fairly new to the market, and they're unique in the way that they in their delivery system of the nutrients. And so essentially they use these biocarbons that allow the nutrients to get deeper into the body, deeper into the cells, in order to pull out toxins, pull out microbes, and eliminate them. And so basically, when I do a program, I'm always starting with detoxification and elimination. This program actually goes deeper than that, which is what I love. I'm going through it myself right now. I have multiple clients who are now going through it. They're having success with Lyme disease, with Parkinson's disease, in just not eliminating, but helping with symptoms of some of these really, really horrific conditions. And so when we allow the body to work properly by getting rid of environmental toxins that are sitting in the tissue, by getting rid of microbes that aren't necessarily supposed to be there, that are pathogenic and causing problems, then the body is allowed to work properly, and symptoms can then decrease. So it's a really interesting product. I'm new to it. I've only been using it on myself and with clients for a few months, which is why I'm looking forward to going to their conference coming up in October, so I can get even more educated, because like you, it just never stops. You know, there are always going to be companies who are on the cutting edge, who are finding out these are the most amazing things that we can do to help the body work properly, because we're in a place where so many things are just inundating our bodies with these there's a word I'm looking for and it's not coming to me, but you know, our bodies are having a hard time. They're struggling with environmental toxicants, with the toxicants that are in our home, with what we put on our body, in our hair, in our yards, you know, on our food. These things are a real problem for us. And so another reason we do what we do and bring a holistic approach to nutrition is because we want to talk about what it is that you're putting in your body, but on your body, what's in your environment. Let's talk about not using chemicals in the yard, and not using chemicals to clean, and not using chemicals in your laundry, because all of these things in time will create symptoms which create dis-ease. And so with that being said, I should probably finish up my Cellcore promotional, but you can only get them through practitioners. So obviously I'm a practitioner, you could get it through me, but go to Cellcore, they have their practitioners listed. You want to talk with a practitioner to understand what it is that you need, because these products are not products to be taken lightly. at all. You need to know what you're doing and how you're doing it and why you're doing it, and really it should be that way with all supplements. But anyway, really, really innovative, cutting edge company. I'm super excited that they've decided to sponsor the show. So, Kelly, if you want to go to a conference in October, then join me.
Well, I am going to be a second mom.
Yeah.
My little girl is due then. But you know what? You know what's really incredible about what you were talking about, the bioactive carbons? You know, when you're able to draw out toxins from your fat cells, which is, you know, what a lot of the times I'm like you, I'm very cautious with supplements. I don't want people wasting their money. I want to make sure I know what's I'm giving people or what they're putting in, because even supplements can be toxic if it's filled with crap. But it's very important to detox your fat cells. A lot of the times if we're having trouble losing body fat, it's because our body's like, we don't want to lose this fat because there's a toxin in it. We're protecting you from this toxin. And so we kind of have to keep this body fat right now. So if you are detoxing yourself, and it sounds like 100% that's what this bioactive carbon does, then fat loss is actually going to be even easier when you exercise, eat right, get your water in and everything. So that's really cool. I'm definitely going to look into it more.
Yeah, it's good stuff. You'll dig it. I'm sure you will. So let's talk a little bit about. I kind of want to talk about our approach, you know, and I think we've hit on a little bit, but there are things that I know that people who maybe have questions about, you know, working with a nutritionist, you know, what it looks like. You know, we're going to be similar enough and have our differences in the way that we work, you know. So, you know, there are things like food journaling. You know, for me, I run lab tests. Do you run labs?
I do not run labs.
Okay. And then, you know, there are, you know, different stages that we can go through as we're working with clients. So I think I want to just hear from you kind of what your process is as you work with clients. Do you, you know, what do you think about food journaling, which I already know, but I think it's important for people to understand, as much of a pain in the ass as it could be, how much information we can draw from these things.
Absolutely. So like I've been saying, I'm very individual with my approach. So anyone who's wanting to work with me has to go through a screening. I want to meet you. I want to know what your goals are. I want you to meet me. There have been a few people that I've been connected to that either they're not ready for the program that I'm working, that I coach, or that they feel like they're actually not going to work well with me, and both are fine. You know, you want to find someone who you're going to work well with, because this isn't a game. This is your health. Like, let's really start getting serious about this. And in terms of the food journaling, so if you're someone who I'm just like, yes, let's do this, let's work together, and we're on the same page. I love seeing like a snapshot of what you do, not on your best behavior, because a lot of the times we think that we're putting healthy foods into our body because it's marketed that way. And this is, again, it goes back to that frustration of, you know, I thought this was healthy. Like, it says low fat on the box. It says high in fiber on the box. So it's when you're able to give me a snapshot of what you're putting in your body every day, and I can be like, listen, I see why your energy's so low at this time of day, or why you feel like you're not getting good sleep. It's because you're eating this at this time, you're missing this nutrient at this time, and people are like, oh my goodness, I get it now. If the individual wants to track what they eat on a daily basis, and they're comfortable and they're excited and they're motivated about it, on a daily basis, then I'll go for it, because it's just extra information for me.
Right.
But if you're someone who's like, it's gonna put me in a bad place, like I'm not gonna be motivated, it's too much work, then we'll figure out a different way if we start seeing plateaus or if things aren't happening in a good way. You know, sometimes I get my clients to, like, I'll remind them right before dinner, hey, take a photo of your plate, send it to me, that's it. Just so that they can do, it's like literally a 2-second thing, and it's a lot easier than tracking absolutely everything they eat all the time.
Yeah.
So initially, yes, I do highly recommend that I get 2 or 3 days. other than that, it's definitely the individual's choice because, my programs and working with an individual, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months together, thinking about journaling everything you eat for that long, that even gives me a headache.
It's too much.
So.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I am very similar in the way that I work. So I always have, almost always, if they'll do it, a 3-day food journal. And so, like you said, it helps you to understand where you are. And it's funny because a lot of people will come to me and say, this is either not how I usually eat, or I was just so bad. I'm like, that's not what this is about. This is not about judging you for what you're doing or not doing. It's about not, we don't judge about anything. This is about giving me guidance on how to help. And then, one of my favorite things to do too is when I see a product, like say there's a protein powder or something, whatever it is they're eating, or a bar, or whatever it is, when I'm with them, I'll look it up and we'll talk about the ingredients right there together. And so those are huge teachable moments in understanding how these things that look healthy, as you just said, we think they're healthy, what they're actually doing to the body. And people, you see eyes wide open, like, oh, I just had no idea. And it's okay because now you do. And that's the goal. That's all any of us, most of us anyway, what we really want is for you to say, now I know, now I have the option of making a decision, an educated decision, because that's what we want. We want you to make an educated decision. You may not always make the right decision. Nobody does. Who's perfect? I mean, I know I often don't make the best decisions, but that's okay. I know the decision that I'm making.
Oh, I love that so much. It's just like having that education so that you can make the decision. Because I'm not here as a nutritionist to tell you not to have cake and cookies and pops and stuff. That's not my job.
Right.
Because you are grown up, you get to make your decisions.
Yes.
But depending on what you want to see, depending on what your goals are, how often can your body handle, a slice of cake, or like how many pops a week can you drink without feeling terrible? But I think too is sometimes for me when I learned about everything that was in food, I was like, do I even want this in my body?
Right.
And personally, I mean, apart from ice cream, honestly, like a lot of the stuff I'm like, that's not even attractive to me anymore. It doesn't even taste good. It's really how you personally take it. So once you have an education part and you can make the decision, that just fires me up because that's exactly what I want to give to the individual is more confidence, more understanding in food choices.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, there are so many people who believe that you go see a nutritionist, and sometimes it's the case, not the case with us, but but you're going to be limited on your foods. You're going to have to go on a starvation diet. You're going to, all of these crazy things. You're going to have to count your calories. And I'll tell you, I am not a calorie counter. I think that it is a very antiquated way of looking at how to be healthy or how to lose weight. Not to say that it can't be a useful tool in some cases, but to say I'm going to tell you what you should eat, when you should eat, how much you should eat, and you track your calories and everything that you do all day long, it's madness. And talk about lack of sustainability. That's not going to do it at all. So, and I kind of got off topic with the food journal, but I want to make the point that with the food journal, that if you do it for a period of time, even if it's for the 3 days, but if you can do it for a little bit longer, if it's a week or 2 weeks, and you start to you eat food and you start to really. And so in my food journal, I'm sure yours is the same way, but it actually looks at when you poop. It looks at how you feel after you eat. It looks at how you feel later on. It looks at how you feel mentally, physically, emotionally. The questions are there because I want you to think about, you ate this food, how do you feel? Did it make you feel good? Did it cause pain? Did you get farty? Did you get joint pain? Did you get sniffly? The thing to remember about food too is when it comes to food sensitivities, it can take 2 to 9 days for a sensitivity to present. For me, and with gluten, it's 8 days. Like, I know it and I can track it now. I just don't eat it, but there are times, and I know it when it happens. But that's why food journals can be good because it just helps you to get to know your body a little bit better. But I totally agree with you that the constant, or doing it every day, all day, I mean, it also can create that unhealthy relationship with always needing to track food and think about food and be aware of food. That's not okay either. That's not the goal here at all. There's a, just like with most things, there's a healthy balance, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about, I want to talk about things like gluten and dairy. These are things that I talk about a lot. People, those are the two biggest things that people are like, I just can't do it. I can't give up gluten and dairy. Why would I? And so talk about how you work with people with gluten and dairy, what your views are on that. This is not something that we've talked about, so we could have some differences. We may not. But yeah, let's talk about that, because I think it's important for people to understand where we're coming from with these things.
Absolutely. And the first thing I'm going to say is that my belief is that all food can have a place, right? And my goal with every individual that I work with is figuring out the root of their issue. So if their issue is weight loss, if their issue is like can't control inflammation, if their issue is can't sleep, if their issue is terrible energy, there is a certain way that my programs work to try to figure out, is there a very specific type of food, type of drink, habit formed that is causing these issues. And, removing dairy and gluten from the diet for 3 weeks is a challenge that I put on to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So I always open up with a statement being like, you will be able to eat this again. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, don't ever eat dairy again because of this study and that study, because I know that there's people out there who can digest and eat dairy perfectly. I am someone who can't, and I learned that through the process of elimination. Do I still eat ice cream sometimes? Yes. Do I get sniffles after? Yes. Do I get bloated? Yes. But I know that. It's my decision. Mm-hmm. So I do eliminate those two things, and for a couple reasons. One, because in North America, they are highly, 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 highly processed. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really do this as an experiment, but there was one summer where I swear, like, more than half of my clients decided to go to Italy for the summer. And it was such an amazing experience for me to vicariously do through them. My clients who could genuinely not have a lot of bread without feeling terrible, not have the alcohol, not having dairy, they went to Italy and they're like, I had pasta and wine and I felt okay. Mm-hmm. Or I had their the ice cream or whatever, and it didn't affect them as much. I know that a lot of places in Italy really, really pride themselves on where they get their food, how their food is grown, and it's the gluten in that food is so different from the ones we have in North America. So that's the one thing that I like to explain to people, is that bread might not be bad for you, but the harshness of the gluten, because it's been so overprocessed, it might be tearing at your system. Mm-hmm. And it's the exact same thing with dairy, right? It's the processing, it's the adding of the sugars. I don't know if you've ever traveled to a different country and had their milk, but I remember the first time, I think it was I traveled to Asia years ago, and when we found milk and I had it, I was like, oh, this is not, because there was no sugar. It just did not taste good. But it was really what milk is supposed to be. So I eliminate that for 3 weeks and then we add it back into the diet. And we see, is your body going to accept it or is your body going to not? Some people, this week, 3 of my clients introduced gluten back into their diet and they were okay. They didn't do a ton of it, but their body, they didn't feel tired, they didn't feel sluggish, they didn't feel any distension in their digestive system. And I think that's what gets people a little bit more, okay, I can remove it for a little bit, because the other side is, people introduce it back into their diet and all of a sudden they get this massive headache. Mm-hmm. They get super bloated. They're constipated or they have diarrhea within the next 8 hours. And now they're like, oh my goodness, my body can't digest this. How am I going to figure out, like, how am I going to figure out how to work on a lifestyle change where I do not eat gluten every day, or I only eat like a bit like sourdough fermented sort of foods? Because honestly, guys, there's always a way to make things work. You just have to be open-minded to it. So I really do let the body tell the individual, like, hey, this is where we're at. So it's not coming from me saying like, oh, well, you should be dairy free because of this, this, and this. Because you're right, a lot of people will be like, I can't do it. And I love when someone says they can't, because I'm like, I'm going to show you that you can, because you can. And even if it's for a week or two, that can even give the body enough time to like reset, and then adding it back in. And when the individual comes back to me and says, I'm choosing to only have goat cheese because I know that that works with me, or I'm choosing to really limit my gluten because I don't want to feel the way that I did when I had like 3 slices of pizza last night. That's my goal. My goal is for you to make that decision, because your body's telling you the reason why you've been struggling so long is because of this bread. But on the other side too, some people remove it, add it back, they don't feel any different, they keep thriving, they keep seeing like positive changes in their body. So I'm okay with them having, you know, pasta or whatever it is, because their bodies are able to thrive that way.
Yeah. And I totally agree. You know, gluten is a tough one because, like you said, it's way over processed. It's been increased. The gluten content in our wheat, in non-heirloom wheat, has been increased so much. I can't remember. I think it's like 300 times what it should be. Yeah, it's something like that. And then you pile on top of that pesticides and herbicides, which have already been proven to increase the incidence of intestinal permeability or leaky gut, or whatever you want to call it, if you've heard that term before, which is a huge problem. Now, it's a natural process, but it's not supposed to be chronic, right? So if we have chronic intestinal permeability, that's when we start to see real issues, you know, inflammatory issues, autoimmune diseases, things like that. And so it is interesting, though, when people go to Europe who are not true celiac and have the ability to eat the food, because the food has remained good, real food from the earth. It's not been damaged, it's not been changed, it's not been hybridized or genetically modified. It's just food the way that it was. And there was a time, you know, that's a lot of people's argument, you know, there was a time back in, you know, thousands of years ago, bread was a staple. We would talk about eating bread. Bread had a time where it actually was healthy. It was fermented, you know, the sourdough that's fermented. It actually brings out the nutrients in the seeds, and it takes down the anti-nutrients that can create problems for people. And these are healthy foods. So if you're okay with some, the thing to remember is you want to feed yourself and like truly feed your body. So we don't want to just eat bread to eat bread. Yeah, it's fun. I found an amazing keto bread that I'm super excited about it, but I know, I look at it and I know it's feeding my body. But we want to make sure that when we're doing these things, we're thinking, I'm going to have a piece of bread, and I want to feed my body. I want the nutrients to be utilized and not for it to just be empty calories, because that's what can happen too, especially if we're trying to lose weight. And I don't mean to focus on that, but you know, just because something is gluten-free or just because something is whatever it is doesn't mean it's necessarily healthy, and doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to help you lose weight, right? So we got to think about the things that are beneficial in whatever your goals are for health. And agree with dairy. I think a lot of people are really sensitive to dairy, but there are people who can. And for me personally, I'm not a fan at all of conventional dairy, even if it's organic dairy. I think it's a big problem because it's a dead food. It's been pasteurized. Some of it's been homogenized, you know, which makes it potentially carcinogenic because you're breaking open those fat molecules that then oxidize. I mean, it's a huge problem when we have homogenized milk. And why don't we want cream on the top of our milk? I mean, homogenization mixes it all up instead of it sitting at the top. I'm like, That's the best part if you're going to eat it or drink it. But raw milk, if you can handle dairy, raw milk I think is the best way to go, whether it's goat or sheep or cow. I just think we still got to think about what is nutrient dense, what's going to feed our body. And I think for some people, absolutely, it can feed our body. It has for thousands and thousands of years.
And I think the other thing that I focus on too is because a lot of us grow up in these very like dairy-filled, gluten-filled lifestyles, right?
Yeah.
So what I like to do is I like to not even say let's go gluten-free, but only give naturally gluten-free options or dairy-free options to my clients. And I've once in a while someone will come up to me and be like, "You don't have any dairy on this list." I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh you're right, yeah." Because there's so many other options. Like there's just like you got your fruits, your vegetables, your nuts and seeds, your beans and legumes. Like, and other whole grains that don't even, like, not wheat, like, even things like rice and quinoa and stuff like that are becoming so much more popular. It's like, how do we use those foods more so that you're not obsessing, you're not even thinking about the dairy or the gluten? And I find that that really helps with that transition of, like, I can't do this to, oh, I went dairy-free without even knowing that I did it.
Yeah. How often do you hear, well, what am I going to eat?
I hear that all the time. You know, educating, like when we start my program, I do educate on what we're going to remove for very, very specific purposes. But then I make sure that what we're going to include list is very long, like visually, because there is so much that you can eat and enjoy.
Yeah.
And I always get into, the one thing is like, I love it. One of my programs I run, the one comment that I get the most is, how am I going to lose weight? I'm eating so much food. And I'm like,
right, yeah.
Hey, just you have to trust me. And every single person loses weight on the program because they're fueling their body properly.
Right.
And I think that's like another really, really, it's so cool to see how their mindset changes, because you're just like, I've like never eaten this much in my life, and I just lost 8 pounds in 3 weeks. What happened? Like I feel great, I feel satisfied, and it's educating on, nutrient dense versus calorie dense.
Right, absolutely. I want to take another quick break. We're sitting, of course, at the 13-minute mark, or 13 minutes left, and it just always just flies by. But this is a little self-promotional because it's part of the show. And we're going to talk about Kelly's programs here in just a few minutes. And so I guess this is really kind of a good segue. But I want to throw out Body Bliss. Body Bliss is a program that I've co-created with, well, it's a program and it's a Facebook page that I've co-created with a neurologically based chiropractor who also has a show here at the studio. So if you know her, Dr. Lynn Tran McDonald, she's amazing. If you haven't seen her show, she's on tomorrow. So see her. She's awesome at what she does. You've probably seen us on this show together. But when we're talking about programs, it's, there are different types of programs that I think that we do as practitioners. We have the one-on-ones, we have the group programs, and so this program that she and I, Dr. Lynn and I, have created is an online program. It's self-paced. It is, you jump in and out whenever you want to. Now the goal is to do a solid 12 weeks because that's how you can be successful. But we've created this program. We're super excited about it. This is you can consider it a restart. You can consider it a beginning to finding out what your big health challenges are. And it's a get to know your body program. And it is a solid, comprehensive 12-week jump in, learn your body, learn what your body needs, eliminate the things that it doesn't need, learn what your mind needs, what your mental focus and acuity needs, in order to take this life and just be as successful as you can possibly be. Because that's why we're here. We're here to be successful and to share and to give and to learn and to have fun, and that's what life is. That's everything. And I just get so excited about people like Kelly and being able to create programs like this to help people to move forward, especially when sometimes we get stuck. because we do. We all have our times when we get a little bit stuck. So go to, if you're on Facebook, we have a free group. It's the Body Bliss Lifestyle Design for the Busy Woman. Find that group, join it. It's free. We've got a free recipe book, that the low sugar recipe book we're giving away, as well as some guided meditations that Dr. Lynn has created. And the group itself is only just to be a resource, to have fun, to learn. We give guidance, we jump in, we want to learn from the people in the group and have just as much fun with it as we possibly can. And then if you're interested in, of course, the program, then we can get you in touch with that as well. So on that, let's talk. Oh, and it's really important to say, we're streaming live on KUHS because it's the best station in the world as far as I'm concerned. So this station has some of the most amazing shows on it, and actually I should just have a list, and so I can put it, have it on behind me, because I love to promote the people who have shows at this station because they're so good and so passionate about what they do. I guess it's just, which is why I'm aligned so much with them, because I love people who love what they do, instead of just kind of ho-hum, getting through life, let's be excited about life. And so this is an amazing station. Kelly, let's talk about, you have a couple of different programs. I've got them listed here. One of them that I love, because it's just kind of, it's long, but it tells you exactly what it is. It's not long, but anyway, it's called Fat Loss Food Freedom Lifestyle. And I love that. So let's talk about it.
So if I'm really going to shorten it, because you're right, it's such a long title, I call it my Food Freedom Program. And that is my one-to-one, you are ready to change your lifestyle for good, let's do this the right way program. It's what I talked to you about, that you have to be screened before working with me so that I know that we're both in the same place and we're ready to work together on it. I spend a lot of time with you. So, you fill out an application, so I get to know like a snapshot of your lifestyle, and then there's weekly coaching calls, but also daily check-ins. So it's one of my most intense programs, but the daily check-ins are, ever since I started incorporating them with my coaching and mentoring, you don't have time to fall off the wagon or not have the right resources to like thrive, because I'm there messaging you, keeping up with you, providing that accountability and support every single day. And yes, there's meal plans, yes, there's like food choice options and recipes and all of that stuff. But really what it comes down to, I focus on as much as possible, is your mindset. Like, are you happy with what we've created? Because everything's customized. But is it something that you can see yourself doing for the next 10, 15, 50 years, right? It's hard to say within the first month of a program, but that's why my programs are, like 3 months, 6 months, and then you can extend them depending on what you need from there. But it's like when I created that program, and who's to say that I'm not going to tweak and modify it even more as I get more educated, it makes me so fulfilled, so excited to wake up every day and connect with these amazing individuals that, they have so much more confidence than I ever thought that they could. And just, again, providing that accountability and support every single day is something that has, again, fuels my own passion.
Awesome. I love that. So I want you to, so I have two others down here, but I don't want to put words in your mouth about any of this stuff. So the other programs that you do, let's just talk about them.
So there's another one that I love running. Today's the 16th. So yesterday was the last day to sign up, but I will be running it again in January. It's called my 21-day shred, and this program is for individuals who are not sure that they're ready for that very intense one-to-one working and accountability program. It's not a customized program, but I do modify it depending on what your needs are. And it's really to show how incredible food changes can happen, or food choices can happen, and what the results can be in 3 weeks. So I kind of was referring to it earlier when we were talking. The average weight loss is like 8 to 9 pounds on that during those 3 weeks, but it's not like a starvation program or let's cut all the carbs program. It's a very holistic. This is what you should be fueling your body with. This is how we're going to focus on digestion so that you feel fantastic throughout the entire time. And just a way for people to get to know me a little bit better who aren't like too sure, right? Because the one thing that I'm going to understand more than anything is, you know, some people are going to feel so cheated in this industry, so like frustrated and like, oh, this is just going to be another program or another nutritionist, or, and I totally get that, but my mantra to myself is I want to be the last nutritionist that you see. I don't want to be another program or another, you know what I mean? And you're the same way. So the 21-day shred does that really well. And then I do have a group program. As you said, we have things for individuals, and then group programs are really good for building community. So my group program is a 10-day challenge, and it's a 10-day Be Happy, Be Healthy. You can find that on mostly on my social media, because the one thing you're going to find on my website is the food freedom, just because that's what I promote the most.
Sure. You have also, do you have a master class?
The master class is free, actually. Yeah. So the master class is something that it's a chance for me to teach, and I love teaching. I love educating, and what I truly believe in terms of how I coach and how the nutrition and wellness industry is, and what you need to do in order to really focus on your digestion so that you can thrive. That's what the masterclass is all about, and you can sign up for that anytime you want.
I love that. Very cool. So what about New Lifestyle, New You?
That is not that's not an actual program. That is kind of like another mantra. It's like, let's focus on the lifestyle, because until you focus on your environment and where your stresses are coming from and how you're going to get certain activity in, how you're treating yourself mentally, none of this is all hot air. So I really focus on lifestyle, because you just need to drill it into people's heads. We're so, again, diet culture is like, I want weight loss now, I want it now, I want it. Right. They don't tell you to focus on the future, because like you said, that you have to buy their products for the rest of your life. Yeah. And it's great for the companies. They make, this is a $1 trillion industry easily.
It's amazing.
So that's just another thing that it's like one of the things that it's the core of why I do what I do. Yeah. I'm so open, so honest, as honest as I can be about just how frustrating and funny this industry can be, and how I'm just not about that.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I think it's important to bring, that's why I do the show, is to bring truth to this industry. And there's a lot of goodness out there, and there's a lot of lack of goodness out there. And, there are a lot of health and wellness companies who really just want to get you stuck on their supplements and their cycle. And I love supplements. I talk about them. I think they're very important, but you have to be very, very careful with them. And so I call it therapeutic supplementation. And when I work with my clients, I want them to, by the end of our time together, I want them to be on the minimal amount of supplements. And another thing that's important to keep in mind is there are times when it's really important to pulse your supplements. You don't need supplements every day, all day long, a handful, and you're just constantly popping supplements. That's not how the body's built, right? The goal is to get as much as we can from food. Now, our food is not what it used to be. And then when we're in a situation, a chronic situation or a weight loss situation where we need to lose weight or things like that, therapeutic supplementation is important because it can really boost what we're trying to do with the body, whether that's detoxification, weight loss, helping to repair the immune system, helping to repair the cardiovascular system, you name it. It's really important, but you have to know what and why and how. And if I do not believe in supplement regulation, but I do believe in self-accountability. and going to people who you know you can trust to help guide you through what it is that you actually need. And somebody that tells you, because I've seen this before, gives you a list of supplements, $500 a month, every month for the rest of your life, that's a problem. It's a big problem. So keep that in mind. Kelly, where can people find you?
So Kelly Carter Nutrition is my handle on Facebook and Instagram. And the next best place to reach me would be www.kellycarter.ca.
Perfect. Because CA, you're out of Canada, which
yes, I don't think I mentioned that.
No, yeah. I don't think so either. So Kelly's at Toronto. Yes?
Just north of Toronto, yep.
Okay, very cool. So there is goodness all over the world, and I love it. And so thank you, Kelly, for all that you do and for being a light and just being really amazing at what you do. I hope any of you who see this and are compelled to do so, reach out to her, join her free programs, join her other programs. This is good stuff. For me, I taste like nutrition everywhere. So whatever it is, that's where I'm going to be, whether it's my website or my Facebook or my Instagram, all of those things. Reach out. On my website, I have a free assessment. You can jump in, fill it out. It doesn't take very long. It comes straight to me. I reach out to you personally. That way, we can chat about what we find, what your needs are, if we need to, if we can make quick changes, or if we need to, actually get together and make some real change. So always find us here every other Thursday on KUHS, the most amazing place in the world. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kelly.
Bye.